The housing crisis. Half of Americans pay too much. Housing affordability explained. Are you drowning in housing costs? A shocking new survey reveals that half of Americans are spending over 30% of their income on housing, leaving many struggling to make ends meet. This alarming trend, uncovered by NerdWallet, highlights a growing crisis that affects both renters and homeowners alike. But here's where it gets even more concerning. Experts like Holden Lewis, a real estate guru at NerdWallet, suggest that the ideal housing expenditure should be around 28% of pre-tax income. So what's going on? Let's dive in. According to the survey, a staggering 50% of Americans are shelling out 30% or more of their pre-tax earnings on housing expenses, including rent, mortgages, taxes, insurance, and utilities. This isn't just a minor budget adjustment. It's a financial strain that's becoming the norm. Lewis bluntly states, "We're facing a housing affordability crisis, and there's no easy fix." He avoids sugarcoating the issue, acknowledging that quick solutions like getting a roommate or becoming a house hacker, renting out part of your home, might not be feasible for everyone. But he does suggest these as temporary strategies to ease the burden. And this is the part most people miss. While sharing living spaces can help, there are other practical steps to consider. For instance, shopping around for better homeowners insurance rates before renewing your policy can save you hundreds of dollars annually. Additionally, Lewis points out that while current mortgage rates are high, preventing many from refinancing, the future could bring lower rates, offering an opportunity to reduce monthly payments. The key is staying informed and prepared. However, finding housing that fits within the recommended 28% budget is increasingly difficult, especially for those without high incomes. Lewis emphasizes the importance of exploring all options, even if it means compromising on location or size. He also recommends cutting costs in other areas, like transportation or entertainment, to balance out the rising housing expenses. But here's the controversial part. Is it fair to expect people to constantly tighten their budgets while housing prices soar unchecked? Shouldn't there be systemic solutions to address this crisis? This issue raises critical questions. Are we doing enough to tackle housing affordability? What role should policymakers play in easing this burden? And how can individuals navigate this challenging landscape without sacrificing their quality of life? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with Lewis's suggestions? Or do you think there's a better way forward? Share your opinions in the comments below, and let's spark a conversation about this pressing issue. The shocking reality of rent in America. How much of your paycheck goes to housing? Imagine working a full week just to afford your monthly rent. This is the reality for many Americans today. But here's where it gets controversial. In some of the nation's most expensive cities, you'd have to work 2 full work weeks to keep a roof over your head. Let's break down how housing costs have spiraled out of control and what it means for your paycheck. The average American's monthly rent has surged from $824 in 2008 to over $1,300 by 2025. That's not just a number, it's a lifestyle shift. When wages barely keep up with inflation, but rent prices skyrocket, people are forced to spend a disproportionate chunk of their income on housing. According to recent data, the typical American now needs to work 38.3 hours per month to pay their rent. Exactly 1 average work week. But in places like Vermont and New York City, that number climbs dramatically. And this is the part most people miss. The disparity between states is staggering. While South Dakota residents might cover their rent in just 27.6 hours of work, Vermonters face the grueling challenge of 60.2 hours. Hawaii, California, New Jersey, and Maryland round out the top 5 hardest hit states, with California alone requiring 52.4 hours of labor per month just to afford an average rental. Contrast that with affordable states like Alabama and Arkansas, where 31 hours of work is enough to secure a home. The numbers don't lie. But what's driving this crisis? A mix of supply-demand imbalances and shifting economic priorities. While apartment construction has hit a 50-year high, Redfin economists argue that supply is finally outpacing demand. Vacant units are giving renters negotiating power, says Shahryar Bokhari, a senior economist at Redfin. Yet this raises an important question. Is this a sign of a healthier market or just a temporary reprieve before prices climb again? Here's another twist. Renting is often cheaper than buying. With mortgage rates near 7% and home prices up 55% since 2020, cities like Austin, Texas show how renting can be the smarter financial choice. You could pay $3,200 a month for a mortgage, but rent the same home for $1,900, explains local real estate agent Andrew Vallejo. Unless you've got a hefty down payment, renting wins hands down. But let's not ignore the bigger picture. While median rents dipped 1% year over year in May 2025, the long-term trend remains upward. As housing markets evolve, the debate will rage on. Should housing be a basic right? Or is this simply the cost of doing business in a growing economy? We'd love to hear your take. Do you think the government should intervene to cap rents? Or is market freedom the only solution? Share your thoughts below. P.S. Want to explore the companies shaping America's future? Check out the 2025 Fortune 500 ranking to see which corporations dominate the economy and how they're tackling housing challenges.